Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call. All directors are present. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda tonight.
All right. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Agenda is approved. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any members of the public in person for public comment? No. And no members online. I do have an email that was sent to me that I just wanted to read, and then perhaps direct staff to reach out to the individual and tell him who he could reach out to. But his name was Antonio Hernandez. His concern was for the fire hydrant spacing on his street between Sunny Slope and 138 Lebick Road, Phelan, California. According to the state and county code, it states that there should be no more than 600 feet of distance in between fire hydrant and on Lebick Road. Distance is between 1,600 feet. Can you help our community so that distance is not a security issue? So I will pass this on and we can let him know where he can find out that information. All right, moving on to community reports. It looks like in person we have the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. How you guys doing? Last month there was a total of for the Phelan area 636 calls for service. With those, 30 reports were generated. Top ones again were information calls at 115, wireless 911s at 38, welfare checks at 34, audible alarms at 32, and traffic stops at 31. Just want to touch base on that. After our last conversation, I've been challenging my guys that get out there, especially with the OHV stuff. In the last month and a half, they have towed 4. I know that's not a lot, but with their busy in between calls and handling stuff like that, that is a lot for them with their day-to-day stuff. So they're improving on that. So we'll continue to grow and address that issue. With Piñon Hills, there was 277 calls for service. Out of those, 18 reports were generated. Top ones were information calls at 49, wireless 911s at 19, welfare checks at 16, follow-up investigations at 15, and audible alarms at 16. And at that time, no significant things to report this time. Any questions for me?
Questions? No?
No.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
I'm sorry I gotta leave. We got another meeting.
No worries.
Enjoy your evening.
All right, moving on to item 3, consent items. Does anyone have anything they would like to pull? All right, if not,
I'll move consent.
I'll second.
thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion passes. No matters removed, no presentations or appointments, so we will move on to agenda item 6A, discussion and possible adoption of resolution 2025-10, establishing a policy for technology governance. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. Jen is going to take these first 2 items tonight.
Thank you. This is being brought forward at the request of the directors. We actually generated 2 policies for this because it seemed appropriate. The first one, this one is the technology governance. Just a brief background. The district relies heavily on technology to provide essential services and support for daily operations. As the complexity of digital systems, cybersecurity threats, and data governance responsibilities continues to increase, the need for a formal technology governance policy has become critical. So at this time, we do recommend the board to adopt Resolution 2025-10 approving policy number 6,000. This will strengthen and outline the district standards, roles, and responsibilities and prohibited activities related to the use and management of district technology.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
Just a comment, thank you. I know how valuable this is.
All right. If there are no questions or comments, I would motion to adopt Resolution 2025-10.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to 6B, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2025-11, establishing a policy for artificial intelligence governance. Jen.
So at the board's request, staff has prepared policy number 6001, AI governance policy, to guide the district's approach to evaluating and using artificial intelligence tools. As the use of AI becomes more prevalent in public agencies, the board identified a need to establish clear principles and procedures to ensure that any future AI implementation aligned with the district's mission, values, and regulatory responsibilities. At this point, we do recommend adoption of this resolution. It has been reviewed by legal counsel, and so if there's any questions regarding the policy itself.
Okay. Any questions? No?
I liked that it covered the points that I had heard about when I first heard about the need for this.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you.
All right. No further questions. Would someone like to motion?
I'll motion that we pass policy 6001, is it dot 12? Or not, that's page, section 12, 6001. Resolution 6001. 2025-11? Okay, resolution 2025-11.
Okay. I second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. All right, moving on to item 6C, review and possible adoption of Resolution 2025-12, establishing a board member compensation, reimbursement, and ethics training policy. Mr.
Yes,
Bartz.
thank you. This similar resolution was passed in June of 2025. There had been some discussion back and forth with the board over the past couple months about using the prior version with some modifications. We have those included in this tonight and for your discussion and possible approval.
Perfect. All right. I know we hashed this one out last time. Anybody have any questions or comments? Fantastic. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2025-12, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Phelan Piñon Community Service District, establishing policies for the board member compensation, reimbursement, and ethics training.
Perfect. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. It went too far. There we go. 6D, recommendation to award construction contract, Civic Center, and Emergency Operations Center.
Thank you. This is going to be a little bit of probably a more lengthy discussion than the prior items. And there's going to be several components involved with this, including the status of the bid opening that we had, and also a bid protest in the process, also a response to the bid protest. So that will all come up as we address this item. George is going to kick this off. And we also have representatives from CPM. They've been with us throughout this entire process, kind of walking us through the bid opening, the protests and everything. And with that, I'm going to just hand this over to George.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. Can you hear me? Is this thing on? Yeah. As you know, we've been through this process heavily for the last couple of months after the pre-bid, non-mandatory meeting a couple months ago. Over that duration, there's been, I believe, 4 amendments that we addressed. It was at 4, what was it, 4 total. A lot of work was done on all of our consultants. Steno Design, I got a heavy lift on a lot of the responses to the questions that were asked. TRLS Engineering with the engineering portion of it. We had electrical and CPM with Chase and Mike Woods really on top of the response. It was mentioned that room was packed for a non-mandatory bid meeting. And that was a good indication of a competitive bid for this project. It was, I can't tell you the date, but was last week, if I remember, we had the bid due date extended to Tuesday, which I don't know what the date of that is, but it was Tuesday last week. We received 14 bids. Of the 14, the top 2 low bidders were very close. There was a third that came in, and through the evaluations process with CPM, they've came up with the determination that the low bidder was most responsive. Friday last week, we did receive a protest letter on the bid. It was quickly addressed, and we've gone through the process that the protests deemed unqualified for pulling the project or just eliminating the lowest bidder. The bid for the project came in at $11,965,000, and with that included some components on electrical that we had looked at procuring ourselves. And I mentioned at the last meeting, I think 2 months ago, that acquiring the electrical components was critical and to move forward with this. Over the last couple of months, it seemed like it's been more available. So the urgency isn't there, but though we are moving forward with it, it's not included as part of the bid packet. The district was going to proceed with acquiring the equipment. With that equipment, which is a separate cost from the bid, we also have the FF&E, which is the finishing, furnishing, and equipment of the office. That's the flooring, the wall finishings, and furniture. That is also not included. Also not included was the SWEEPY, which is the stormwater pollution plan services that is required over the project duration. And the monument sign, which was not included, and we weren't sure how we were going to address it, but last minute we submitted a plan to county for approval on a monument sign. When I say monument sign, it's just a 4-foot tall county regulations on what signage requirements are. So it's not like the Washington Monument kind of thing. So
I'm hurt.
along with that, the generator. So there's a few items that we need to address beyond the cost of this project. There is proposed a 10% contingency for this project, as well as a 3% design contingency. And that was just explained to me what that looks like. If there's any design changes, we go through the county process for approval, and there's a cost to that, and that 3% would cover that if we deem needing to go through a design change through the construction project. So with that total that we have, including the construction, the total for the finishes, the electrical, the monument, the sweepy, the generator is approximately $800,000. That's just a general number. We are getting bids for each of those components on the FF&E, the electrical, which is the ATS switchgear, as well as the generator. And the monument sign is going to be part of more of a change order to the project for the contractor to address when we do receive county approval on the signage. And then the sweepy is just services outside of the scope of work. So, so on top of the 1.2, let's just say million, we have 800,000. And I believe the number, and I'll let Chase kind of dive into it because he really dived in deeply into the cost and the details of what was presented a couple months ago to the board, and where we're at now, and why we are at the numbers than what was reported a couple of months ago when we went out to bid. So with that, I'm gonna kind of switch gears and hand it over to Chase Cooper and Mike Woods with CPM to kind of dive deeper into some of these whys.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So when we came to you guys with the updated cost estimate, we came to the board with $16,535,316. Our goal was to be 10% high. So that would account for anything that could happen through the bid period. We had some contingency funds in there, knowing some design changes were coming, things of that nature. As George said, Steno Designs really stepped up and the engineers really stepped up, got the information out there. I think the bid packet that went out is covering you guys. It's a comprehensive bid that we received to cover majority of the project. With what George was saying, that cost did include the electrical components and things of that nature. So that was a total number based off of what George said. What happened now is we received the actual bids. So the original cost estimate, we had $13,779,430 for the trade contractor's costs. And that came in at $11,965,000. One thing I do want to say about the bids we received, we went from just shy of 12 million up to 17 million. There wasn't many around 17 million. Most of them were right around 13 million. So that's a very competitive bid with a small percentage difference between the bottom two. We have now projected out with all those costs included, we're thinking this project's going to be right around 14,300,000, 14,500,000. There's still some unknowns. When we go out to bid for the electrical, we have an estimate, but again, we're going to be bidding these components, so we'll see how that comes in. In the end, from our original estimate to where we're thinking you're going to land, it's about a 14% reduction. We were wanting to be 10% high, so I think that 4% came into the competitive bidding environment with so many bids being received. Any questions?
So the 14.3 is total cost plus the 10% plus the 3% plus the 800,000 that George was talking about?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it is an estimate right now, like I said, because we have to bid those components.
Gotcha.
The 10%, the 1.1 million, that is there in case we need to touch any change orders along the way. So 10% is, it's not, I would say, typical, but more side on being cautious with. So
Yeah, CPM also, we had talked about the track record of CPM, and I think one of the things that stuck out in my mind was one of the projects you had completed recently, you were at about a 1% or something like that, as opposed to 10%. They kept it pretty much within the budget. So that the 10% is maybe worst case scenario.
absolutely.
And there's changes too, you know, you guys, if there's something you guys decide you want to change, at least we have a little slush fund for you guys set aside for improvements you might want to add. Some things are triggered, you know, county could come back and say, hey, we had a half road, we want a full road. Things happen. So it's always good to have it there, and you don't use it, you don't lose it, so.
Okay.
One of the questions I have, George and I had talked about that, and I didn't know if this is included in that number. Part of the off-sites that we have is the improvements in front of the Napa store over here. Is that number included in the number that we have right here? Has that been subtracted out of the total amount?
So the Napa improvements are shown on the off-site plans, and the off-site plans were bid in their entirety.
Okay.
So it's not like a separate number at this time that happens through schedule of values once we award, but it is inclusive.
Okay,
So-
so that will be reduced by that amount.
It will be carved out as well, and we do have that FEMA grant of the 2 million, the county contributions of 500,000 for this project. There is a district match as shown on the table in the agenda of 666,000 for, I think, the total of 3.167. So being with the funded based on the grant funding, so.
Yes, so we
Yeah, I
have
think that's all I have.
$2.5 million in grant funding associated with this.
Okay.
Now, one of the questions, I'm just going to throw it out there, the questions I had for Chase is when all this starts. Like, there's a pre-construction meeting, and 10 days after that pre-construction, there is groundbreaking. And what that duration is, when is that going to happen? I mean, it can happen as soon as early November. So this project is going to move quickly, and that's the intent. The schedule, once we meet with the contractor, will then be kind of more detailed out when that's going to look like. So you'll see some work, some activity on that 5-acre site real soon.
Okay.
So if there's no questions on that, I think Wes is online. Wes, are you here on this?
I'm here.
Okay. We talked about a bid protest, and if Chase, do you wanna talk about that quickly, and then we can have Wes weigh in on that too?
Yeah, so we received the bid protest within 72 hours, just a little over 72 hours. And the basis of the protest was some irregularities in the low bidders form. Nothing that affected dollar value nor gave a competitive edge to the low bidder. We still took it to district's legal counsel to review, to make the determination that there was nothing substantial that should deem that bidder non-responsive. And with that, I would turn over to Wes on his findings.
Thank you, Chase. Good evening, everyone. What was just stated is accurate. More or less, we learned of the protest. There's a written response that's on the district's website, was provided to the board. It's available to the public. And essentially, there were 4 items. And in the 4 items, I'm happy to go through if that's necessary. But in real short form, one was about a designation of subcontractors, which it turns out there was business addresses missing on a form. Those were submitted right away. And then another item had to do with workers' compensation, similarly about whether it was required and is there a certificate of liability attached that was submitted. And then there was an item about whether 1 or 2 officers of the corporation had to sign. The bid documents made clear that it's 1 signature, and there was 1 signature provided. And then another item, and the final item as the 4th item, was dealing with whether or not essential requirements for qualifications were made. And the team more or less decided that yes, the qualifications were met. So, and to the extent that there was any bit of an irregularity, the district does retain authority and discretion to waive those things. So that's the essence of the substance that was submitted in the response that's in a letter to that bid protester, as well as on the website and before the board. And with that, I'm happy to address any questions, but we do have a sound process and a sound result and discretion that can be exercised to reject the protest.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Wes? No? All right.
Okay, you also should have in front of you is a letter from CPM, and it was discussing the project. This was a letter to George stating that they had reviewed everything, checked the license, bond, and workers' compensation status, and CPM is recommending that the owner proceed with issuing the notice of intent to award for general contractor services to the responsible low bidder. And that is under the staff recommendation, about 2 paragraphs at the top of the sheet. And with that, we would turn it back over to the board unless there are any additional questions.
All right.
And Mr. Bartz, if I may, and I'm sorry, Madam President, I would just request that the board also build into what Mr. Bartz just described, whether to reject or not reject the bid protest, just so that we have a clear record.
Okay, so include it like into the one vote? Or,
You can, yes, or you can break it out, but either way, that's really up to you all. But just so that it's
You
clear
could just add it.
as to what the board has decided to do with the protest itself.
okay, thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
first, any other clarifying questions or comments or anything before we vote?
I have some comments. I'll go way back to 2023. We were informed that the project was ready to go out to bid. So then on January 9th, 2023, the board took action to borrow $6.5 million for the project. And shortly thereafter, we conducted a rate study and it added $450,000 annually to the water rates for debt service. And that on top of all the capital improvements, the inflation factors and everything else, we came up with 4-year increases of 16% year over year for both the fixed rate and the water rates. I mean, by 2028, I think people are going to be paying $80 a month just to have a 1-inch meter before they use a drop of water. To me, that's a little high, and adding the $450,000 a year for 20 years doesn't help that. And then the last spreadsheet we received on, I think it was March 12th of 25, we had available funding listed at $12,227,616. Tonight, I hear we're closer to 14 million, and I don't know where the extra money is going to come from there. And then also, George, I think you said furniture, fixtures, and equipment is not included in that number. And Chase, did you say it was or wasn't?
It is in that number, yes.
It is in that number.
Yes.
Okay, so that helps a little bit. So by the time the thing's paid off in 20 years, we'll be looking at a $17 million building. We didn't even calculate in the annual maintenance and repair for the building, what we're going to have to set aside for that. And I just can't see supporting a project of this size and scope in a community where there are people that have to make a choice between paying their water bills or buying groceries. There's a lot of people out there that aren't as fortunate as we are or other people are. And I think we're adding a big burden on their backs. And I just can't support having a $17 million building and seeing people stand in the lobby talking to staff, pleading with them about paying their water bills. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me for a community of this size. All that being said, I think you guys did an excellent job going through the process and making sure that all the pieces were in place so that the project is successful if it is awarded tonight. But for me, I just can't see putting this on the backs of the ratepayers for the next 20 years. I don't see the $17 million worth of community benefit. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? No? Over here? Nope. You're thinking.
I thought I was up to speed, but after that, maybe I'm not up to speed. But I was looking at the funding table with the 2.5 million in grant funds, and then we'd match and we get to 3. How does that relate to 14? So is that the rest of it was the loan that we took out that he's speaking of?
Yeah, there's a number of components. I don't have all of this prepared tonight. Some of it came from parks. There were several million dollars that came from parks. There was a $6 million loan that we did receive for this, and there was money from the water fund that would also pay for this. Chuck, I understand what you're saying about the rates. The board was approved to have the higher rate increases. Last year, we were able to keep it to a minimum, and I believe that we will strive to do the same thing. I don't see those big rate increases coming. We will do our best to make sure that does not happen. But there is the grant money that you see here, the $2.5 million of grant money, that is included in the total cost of this project. And one of the things that I've been looking at over the last couple of months, when we did have I would say the shock of a $16 million price tag for this, I've also talked to Bill Morton from the CSDA Finance Corporation, and with interest rates going down, we're looking at what our options are as far as that goes. I did have them hold off because we weren't sure where the bids were going to come in at this point. So we do have a number of options. There's some other income that will be coming into the district from the Republic site that could be used to offset some of that, and that can also be used to offset rates in the future. That is going to be governmental funds. It would not be restricted to just water. It could be water or parks. So there will be some additional funding coming in from that. As we go through the process, I would expect that rates will drop some. I believe it dropped probably 0.5% so far. And we're looking at the options for maybe refinancing the existing loan that we have and hopefully keeping our debt service about the same as it is for the existing loan that we have.
Have we got any word back from the feds on the 2 million? Because that's not a sure thing yet.
Yeah, from what I understand, Jen, go ahead and take that. It's already a Cal EPA, but
Yeah, it is secured at this point.
Are the funds that we've already spent out included in this total?
no. No, we have funds that we spent during the process,
For
the
the-
design, yeah,
So that's not included in this total?
that's
or-
correct.
Okay, this is future spending?
This is moving forward.
Okay.
So is there a breakdown between parks, governmental, and enterprise that this project
Yes,
is
there is,
percentaged
yeah.
out at?
There's 2 million from the feds, 500,000 cash in bank from the water fund, 6,258,000 left in the loan. Cash in the bank EOC grant from the counties, 500,000. Government fund's gonna contribute 1 million, and Parks is gonna contribute 2 million for a total of 12,258,815.
So we're 2 million short?
We're short.
Yeah.
If you do the 10% contingency on that, that is the potential for that.
And this is not including potential funds from the property to the north?
That is correct. That is not even calculated in any of this. That would be on the income side.
So if I just did the math, let's just say the project, proposed, bid for the project, the 11.9, plus the 800,000, I just took those numbers on what is still needed, the FF&E, the electrical components, the generator, that came out to a total of 12.7 million. Now, if you take out the 2.5, and that's without the contingency, that's without the 10% and the 3% design contingency. If you add in the 2.5 on the grants that are for this project, the EOC from FEMA and the 500,000 for county, then the loan, and then the parks, that there was a total of 10.5. So the 10.5, which was set aside to the 12,765, or 12.7 million, as I stated, on the components plus the project, will leave you the balance of 2 million, 2 million, so 2.2. So that's set aside from the loan, the parks, and the grants. So just doing the calculator, which I'm not used to this calculator. It's more, I'm more on the scientific, but I kept screwing up. Kept coming up with 113 million, but.
Is this including the rental of the existing office?
No, we will have income from the rental of the existing office.
That'll help reduce this a bit?
Yeah, that, as of a couple of years ago, was going to be about $6,000 a month for the sheriff's department. So that should be probably increased from where we were with that.
Is
The
that
money
guaranteed?
we're talking about tonight, though, is toward the construction contract, so we need it now, yeah.
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 So it's going to be 18 months construction during this time. And, there's a lot of variables between now and then as far as just to give you some of the sources of future income would be, as you just said, the rental of that. The Republic site They're permitted for 600,000 tons a year. They will be in business supposedly within the next 12 months. They're in the county right now for some of the permitting. And they will probably start off, I'm going to estimate, they said more than that, but I'm going to say about maybe half of that, 300,000 tons a year. So there's about $350,000 a year income from that, just from that component, from the commodity fee that we get for any material that's brought on the site. So there will be sources of income. They're putting about $40 million into the site out there, and that is going to happen.
It's my turn.
To me, it's kind of crazy. We're talking about future sources of income to go towards the building. I mean, if we have future sources of income and we didn't build the building, they could also go to keep water rates down. They'll build parks, do something else.
But when we started this process, I can't think. 2012, 15, yeah, 13 years ago. We had a number on what this project would cost us. And 2017, when we received our CUP, the permit on this project, things changed after a couple of years because the acquiring of the 14-acre changed the makeup of what this is going to look like. Then the cost of that then increased, and we looked at that, so it bumped up. And even up 2 months ago, the cost even increased since then. So it's just the nature of the market and it's just where we are with cost of services and construction. And it just has increased. I'm just kind of looking at what the bids came in at and what it was projected. Future costs, I don't know what that's going to look like. You know, talk about what it would cost to build a building of just this size. Could be that. So I know we had conversations on construction and all the mitigations and environmentals and county fees and the process, and you know, staying within that 10% cost for services, which we were able to contain, you know, below that. There was a lot of work put into this over the last 13 years. So just something I wanted to share, because what could have been and where we're at now, yeah, we're always migrating to bigger and ideas for the community, and the park was one of the components.
And this includes the grading plan for all that, right?
Yeah, the rough
Preparing the
grading.
land for the park.
Yeah, the park. Yeah, there's rough grading for the
Rough grading
14-acre.
yeah.
Yes.
So a little bit of the park is taken care of with this too.
Yeah, we need soil.
Yeah, so
We need the
hopefully-
dirt to build the pad. So because of FEMA, we needed extra dirt. So a bit more was taken from that site on that 14-acre. Drainage too. And there was somewhere where we needed to put the water. So that 14-acre came handy in where we could take that dirt and retain some of that. So we're responsible for some of that.
So a little
overflow.
bit of it's preparing for the park a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
So on the 2 million from parks, the million from governmental, and 500,000 from enterprise, are those funds sitting in a bank account right now?
Yes,
Okay. Accruing interest?
yes.
Okay, so that's what we would lose if we use it.
Yeah, we, and actually we're getting about 4.5% right now on those funds.
So this is just a question that maybe can't be answered, but this 500,000 from enterprise, how much of our increases that he was bringing up is attributing to that 500,000, or does it really
Yeah, so
equate
that-
to it?
It's going to be the same payment each year. That's already been built into the rate. Our debt service on that is going to be the same every year. So in future years, it's not going to go up because of that.
Okay, thank you. One more. And the rate increase this last year was supposed to be 12, and it was 6?
I believe it was 6%.
6? And that seems reasonable or a possibility for the future?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought it was actually 16 was supposed to be.
yeah, could have been up
Okay,
to
16, thank
It could
you.
have been up to 16, so
Okay.
it's a lot
Yeah,
less.
we were able to keep it down, and that is the intent moving forward, to be able to keep that down. And some of the improvements that we've actually have done are going to help keep those down for water supply, and we've done a lot of the heavy lifting with the chromium and all that already.
Thank you. That's all I have.
You good? I'm good. Okay. Anything else?
I'm just gonna say, if you wanted to keep water rates down, give Sean an extra 500,000 a year. He could do all kinds of things to help water rates. But what we're doing here, I mean, it doesn't deliver water at all. I mean, it's just a building. He's out there building infrastructure and projects that are helping to keep costs down and to deliver water. What we're talking about here has nothing to do with that. That's where I'm at.
Okay. All right. Now we need a motion. I'm gonna do it because I need to add the other thing in it, and then we'll just
There you
go
go.
from there and see how it rolls. So I motion to recommend to award the construction contract for the Civic Center and Emergency Operations Center, as well as deny the bid protest. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Say no. Okay, so,
I'll say no.
wait, what?
I'll say yes, actually. I'll go with yes. I'll go with yes.
Okay, we're gonna do that again.
Yeah, we'll go again.
We're gonna make that very
I'm
clear.
sitting on
Why don't we do a
some-
roll
it's a hard
call?
one
Might
right
be
now.
Yeah, Wes, can you do a roll call for us on
Yeah, let's
this?
do a roll call.
I could do the roll call. I was going to actually lean on Mr. Bartz, but
Yeah, actually, we
Oh,
could do Amy.
You wanna do it?
Amy will,
Okay.
Amy will do the roll call, but
They got me flustered, Wes.
Director Schneider?
curveballs, I hear you.
Okay,
You guys ready?
yeah.
All right, Director Schneider?
No.
Director Mills?
Yes.
Director Phillips?
Yes.
Director Hayes?
No.
And President Kuyan?
Yes.
Okay.
All
we
right,
have a vote
so
of 3
with
to
3 to
2.
2, the motion passes. Thank you very much.
And to address the concerns, we will do everything we can do to keep the project within budget and look at the sources for keeping the rates down.
All right, thank you very much.
I'd like to add also, I am low income and have struggled over the years for paying bills. And this isn't, I can see this being an improvement for the community of having a larger space for the community to utilize for larger events. Because that's included in this. I think that wasn't brought up.
Yeah, there's, part of the building is about 5,000 square feet of community center for use for the community for events.
The only thing close to that is at the high school, and that's very limited access compared to what we'll be able to do with this. And I'm leaning into that being the reason why I voted yes.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, moving on to 6E, update on district projects. I'd say that was a big one.
Yeah, yeah, I think we covered the Civic Center, and kind of the schedule. The 14-acre park expansion, we're still working through the Joshua Tree mitigation, that kind of impacts the part of the Civic Center project. Nothing really more to report on that, other than working through the ITP on that. The enhancement project, the contractor has moved to the east side of the park for phase 2, which is the pickleball courts, the wall fence area, and the community garden. I think they're still on schedule to be completed in about a month. They say the end of April, or I'm sorry, the end of November, but for the plants to sign off in April. That means make sure that the plants survive. Then they can say we're complete. The parking lot, as you probably already seen, is completed. There's a couple things that need to be addressed before they open it up. for public use. Part of it is county approval sign off on the driveway approach that they need to kind of mitigate, and some patchwork and the septic tank traffic lid that needs to be installed. But a majority portion of the sidewalk has been completed. I gotta say, Brad, with Parks Supervisors, has been a big help in overseeing the project. They don't like him much. He's been really on the contractor, and they prefer not to talk to Brad when he walks around. So, but his eyes are peeled on every little and anything that's out there, and would not shy to kind of bring it up and for discussion and to address. So, big asset, tell you that, big help. Thanks, Jen. Jen's there to support Brad, so she'll go tell him, Brad. So, yeah, with that, park project's going on nice and smoothly. So,
Yeah. If you haven't walked through the parks recently, take a look. It's a complete change from where we were at a year ago. It's where it should be.
yeah. With that, any questions? I think I covered it. I have nothing more to report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 7, committee reports, engineering. It's all right.
Yeah, we haven't met again since we recorded out last month on our committees.
Finance.
Finance, that's me. We met September 17th, and I believe we have a special meeting November 4th with the auditor.
Perfect, thank you. Legislative.
We don't meet until December?
Okay. And Park and Rec, we had already reported out on our last meeting, and then we meet again in November. And Waste and Recycling.
Yeah, we had our meeting on September, I can't talk this evening. We had our meeting on September the 16th, and we went through all that. I gave a brief at the last board meeting that we were at for that.
Great, thank you. All right, 8, Staff and General Managers Report. Anything to add?
I have nothing to add tonight.
Thank you. Moving on to Directors' Reports. Director Schneider?
Yeah, I attended the meeting on Monday for the special districts, and Heather from San Bernardino County, or not county, but San Bernardino Municipal Water District, who's the water master for the Bunker Hill Basin and area, gave a talk on their investments in water for the future. And they've actually partnered with some water districts up north and are in the process of building a reservoir to be able to store water in wet years and then be able to take that water that's in storage. So that some of the outside thinking that they have outside the box in order to store water in the wet years that they can use during the years that we don't get so much precipitation. And just an overall plan that they have for the basin, working with all the different agencies, very much like we do with Mojave up here.
Thank you. Director Mills?
I have nothing to report.
Director Phillips? Vice President Phillips, sorry.
No stress. I attended the ASB CSD meeting as well. I found it very interesting that the changes that'll happen to that valley as they build a dam and put in water, and seeing how, it'll be interesting to see how their path is to get the access to that water if they're limited in how much the allocation is. That'll be an interesting thing to watch. I also attended the TAC meeting for Mojave Water Agency, and they elected their board, re-elected the prior board in place, and George was put in place for ours again, for our area.
Thank you. Director Hayes?
Nothing to report.
All right, and third time's a charm. I also attended the ASB CSD meeting. Heather is an incredible person to listen to speak, and I find it fascinating how she uses her background in fish and animal, wildlife and everything, and how that also works with our water and storage and everything. So that was a really good meeting. Really appreciated it. All right, item 10, correspondence and information.
I would like to apologize because I forgot to include these, so we will make sure they are included next meeting.
No problem. All right, item 11, were there any prior meeting action items?
Yes, but they have been completed.
Great, and current meeting action items?
I have noted none.
All right. Then we, setting agenda for next meeting on November 12th. Does anyone have anything they would like to add to that meeting? No? All right, thank you. And then it looks like we will recess to close session at 5:51 PM.